Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and we've certainly got one for you today. Tony Hadley is one of the most recognisable, loved and talented men in the business. Tony, how are you?
I'm all right, Alex. I'm very well. I'm very sort of thrilled and excited at the moment because new album's number 29, the single's getting played everywhere, and it's kind of cool. I'm sort of pinching myself and thinking, wow, this is really good. Getting a great reaction to the album Talking to the Moon. So, and that's all I want, really. Just a good, positive reaction, which I'm getting.
Do you know what I think it is about you? I mean, I've been looking at your career and you don't distract with nonsense. Fundamentally, you're a singer who sings. And I think that's one of the reasons people still love you and trust in your product. You don't really diversify, and that's smart.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, I always sort of look at it and think, wow, there I was as a kid watching Top of the Pops and Bowie and Ferry and everybody else, Elton, Rod Stewart. And then the next minute I'm on Top of the Pops, singing and loving it and loving the life as well. And I just love singing. I mean, I always think of myself first as a singer, secondly as a songwriter. And for me, going on stage and singing when you can hear yourself and the voice is feeling good is probably the best feeling, and one of the best feelings in the world. It is quite euphoric sometimes. I know that might sound weird to some of the listeners, thinking, "What is he on about?" But it is. It's a great feeling, and the first time I ever probably sung in public on my own was probably about 14 at Ponty's Holiday Camp, and I remember I thought, this is great. I've got the girl, signed the autograph. Forgot the words halfway through, but it still felt good.
I saw you live in Nottingham at the Royal Concert Hall a couple of years ago, and one of the things that pisses me off the most about you is how effortless it looks for the enormity of the voice. I wonder what strain there is on you. Do you know what I mean? Some people sing and you're like, It's a voice, but it's so big and so round and so epic, your voice. How much does it take out of you?
Physically, I mean, it is, if you sing, la, 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 kind of softly and lovely and everything else. But when you've got to sort of belt out some quite anthemic songs, it's physically quite demanding because you're taking in tons of air, you're putting your whole body behind it and stuff. And I was lucky that I was taught I had 2 years of singing lessons with a fabulous Canadian opera singer called Pamela Dodds, bless her. And she didn't teach me to sing like an opera singer, she just taught me how to sing. And then you cut your chops in the pubs and the clubs. We were in a punk band, before we ever made it to Spandau Ballet. So we used to play the Swan and Beckett for 30 quid and a pint of lager. So,
and we're happy to do it.
And we're happy to do it. And but also, you didn't get any monitors or anything. So, you'd do a 40-minute set and you probably wouldn't be able to talk afterwards. But I'm not saying that was right, but it's you toughen your chops up. You really do.
And it goes against sort of the tradition now where most of these acts can't sing live. You've got nothing to fear. It seems to me when you walk on a stage behind a mic, you're utterly confident because I guess you've got a lifetimes of trust there. Is there any size of audience now or stage that would make you nervous?
Well, to be honest, I get nervous before every time I go on stage. There's never a moment when I don't, whether it's, 500 people, 600 people, 6,000, 60,000, I get nervous every single time. And I think that's a good thing because, when you're on the road, sometimes you get really tired, you get exhausted, but that little bit of nerves that you get before you go on stage, that pushes you through. It gets over the tiredness that you're feeling, or maybe you've got a cold or something like that. So, and I think nerves are a really, really good thing,
And that thing when you wake up in the morning, do you always go to make sure you sound like Tony Hadley? Because if you don't, we're going to be disappointed, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is look in the mirror and go, oh, really? Hope it gets a bit better than that, because we all look in the mirror in the morning. But yeah, I mean, I do, it's funny you should say that, because every morning I probably do just test the voice out, just to think, okay, that's cool. If I do have to sing today, then it's going to be fine. But I think like anything, you have to take it seriously. I've read books on it. I exercise before I go on stage, vocal exercises and stuff. But also you've got to keep fit. You've got to, running. I got a little gym at home as well, so I go running through the fields, maybe on the cross trainer or whatever. And at the moment, though, I've got zilch time to do any training at all, because I'm just doing so much promotion for the new album, so which is great.
We're going to get back to you in a minute. Just back on this album, Talking to the Moon. And I loved it. My two favourite tracks were Unwanted and Killer Blow, which are just anthemic. Again, iconic sound of Tony Hadley. But, I mean, no easy sing, are they?
No. I mean, Unwanted I wrote with Mick Lister, who produced the track as well. And he's a great... He lives literally half an hour down the road. He's a cool dude. And funny enough, that's my daughter Zara's favourite song. And when we did it, the lyrics are pretty brutal on it, actually, and we wanted to create a kind of almost like a film vibe, you know, and as we speak, it's sort of being touted around Hollywood as a possible film kind of theme, you know, and then Killer Blow was a weird one, really. That was myself, Phil Taylor, who's in the TH band, and Blair McKennicky, who lives in Hastings. We just piled down there. And Blair was wailing away on the piano, and I started wailing away doing all my semi-operatic nonsense. And that's how we came up with this kind of almost Queen-esque song called Killer Blow. Again, it's a pretty tough lyric as well. But great. I mean, I love writing. I mean, it's great fun. It's great fun collaborating with other writers as well. It's
the kind of song I'd like to hear you do with Shirley Bassey or somebody like that.
It's got a touch of that, hasn't it? Yeah, I could wear a frock.
You mentioned earlier about the gym and going on the treadmill and all that, and we must talk about the fact that you are a nice bit of trouser for the ladies and they find you delicious. Does that ever get old, Tony?
I've never taken being in the world of pop seriously. You know, all the kind of the ego stuff, all the adulation. I don't know. I just don't. I'm just an ordinary guy that goes in the pub like everybody else. I look in the mirror, I see problems. You know, my biggest thing is always weight, because I love food. I love eating great food. Love a beer. I've got my Moonstone IPA beer, and I love a drop of wine. So, you know, you're kind of, what do you do? You know, I'm not going to become a monk, but you do have to. You know, that's the biggest one, was watching my weight. And when you go on television, it's widescreen TV, worst thing ever invented, in my opinion.
Yes, it's unforgiving, isn't it?
Honestly, I go on there sometimes and say, oh no, please tell me I really don't look like that.
I wonder how you keep your weight down. Carbs, that's my key. What's your key to keeping delicious?
Yeah, well, I try. I mean, the bread can be a bit of a demon sometimes. I mean, I just try and eat relatively well. You know, just a lot, you know, salads and stuff, good. You know, like yesterday I went to a fantastic Italian restaurant. Beautiful bit of sea bass with some spinach and garlic. You know, that kind of food I really, really love. But every now and again, a little bit of what you fancy. You know, if you want a curry, have a curry. You don't want to have one every day of the week. You don't want to have fried breakfast every day of the week. But, right. You know, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
What's your life like at this point? It seems to me you've made it. Professionally, you've nothing to prove. There I was in America in January, driving around Miami, listening to you on all the gold stations. They still love to bang out your voice. That's incredible. So professionally, you're an international megastar. You've got a new album that's credible and been well received. You seem to be privately happy with a beautiful family. I mean, you're living the dream in a way, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think of myself as being really lucky. I mean, if you think of, you know, like I said, the kid watching Top of the Pops, and all of a sudden you find yourself dreaming about it, and then the reality is you're in it. And I've been doing this since I was 20 professionally, but I still feel I've got a lot to prove. I mean, this album has been, a friend of mine actually, one of my oldest friends, who was on the phone the other day, and he said, you know what, this is the one you've wanted to make for years. And he was right, because you know, you find yourself with a record company, you get A&R, they say, oh, Tone, I think you should sing this cover, or you should do this song. And I got to the point, I said, look, I just need to do what I need to do. And so I'm going to self-fund, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, I'm going to employ the best musicians, the best producers, and I don't care how long it takes, I'm going to make what I consider to be a great album. And then if other people respond to that, then fantastic. If it falls by the wayside, well, at least I did what I wanted to do.
And it sounds glorious.
I'll do it my way.
Well, exactly, and there's something to be said for that. Nobody's going to know you better than you. I wonder as well, you say you started at 20, and you seem so normal, and you fared so well. So many didn't. I wonder how you've managed to do that. How do you avoid the hedonism? It's a tough business to survive, isn't it?
It is, but, you know, I've got great friends. My friends are still the friends that I had when I was a kid. My family, you know, they're people that keep me grounded, you know, where I live. I mean, I walk into the pub, I take the kids to school and everything. I've always done that. I've got kids ranging from 34 to 6. And I've always just never taken it too seriously, I suppose.
Talk to me about some of the legends that you've had the joy of working with that aren't with us. I think of people like George Michael, who, of course, you sort of grew up with in show business. You were just mates. I guess that when these people become stars, you knew them before all of that.
He was a lovely, lovely man. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to George, but he just, maybe he fell into, I mean, you know, George was on a different level in terms of star. I mean, superstar. He really was a superstar. And sometimes I think certain artists find it really difficult to cope with. And I don't know if it was to do with the stardom, to do with his sexuality. I'm not really sure. He was a lovely, lovely man. He really was a very philanthropic man who was very generous, not just to charities, but also to people, you know, friends and stuff and family around him. And, you know, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes things happen to people. We've seen it in the business where people start taking drugs and something to make them feel better. They drink too much or whatever. You know, there's a lot of pressures on people. There's a lot of pressure for people to look good. You know, a lot of models and actresses and stuff like that. They've got to look $1 million every day of the week. It just depends how you handle that, really. I've always been able to handle it pretty well, actually. Yeah, I think pretty well.
Do you think social media has ruined everything? I'm not saying this has anything to do with the people we've just been talking about, but I mean, there is so much pressure, and of course, people can get to you now and tell you exactly what they think during the gig, before the gig, and after the gig.
Yeah, I mean, social media is a weird one, isn't it? I mean, I sort of we have to embrace it, and technology is amazing. I'm pretty useless at it, but you know, but then, you know, I look at my little Zara. She's 11. She loves music, and she's Spotifying this and YouTube and that. She's telling, Dad, come on, check this one out. And there is nothing sacred anymore. You know, I mean, if you look at it, and I'm sounding like a real retro guy, and I don't mean to sound like that, but if you look at what it was like for, say, me growing up when I was a kid, you had 3 television channels, music and fashion. And to buy music, you had to save your pocket money up or get a Saturday job or whatever. And, you know, and that was you really treasured it. And now with technology, with mobile phones and everything else, the world's there. You can check out films, you can check out music, information is infinite. And I also think that the analytical side of that, I'm getting a bit deep here, but people feel the need because they feel they're being photographed all the time, all the I don't know, celebrities and stuff. They've got to look $1 million. They've got to be perfect. No one is perfect. And sometimes, if you look a bit crummy, well, it just is what it is, you know. But I think it's very hard for people. And also, going on a bit, but also, you know, you meet people and say, what do you want to do? Well, what are you good at? I don't know, but I just want to be famous.
Right.
You know, being famous doesn't make your life any better. It's just look inside you, look at your family, look at your friends, look beyond a selfie, you know, look beyond the false fingernails and the makeup and the hair extensions and everything else.
And having daughters, I guess you're having to impart this daily, because it is an overwhelming world, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I try to sort of impart, you know, my kids. I mean, thank God my big kids don't take themselves too seriously either, which is good. And my 2 youngest, Zara and Genevieve, I mean, they're just really ordinary kids. We live in a country. They go to cricket, they go to drama, they go swimming. They're really active sort of social lives. So we don't allow them to go on iPads and anything too much, you know, because, and also there's some weird stuff going on there as well.
Yeah, you got to protect them. Very finally, before we go, let's just talk about a couple of the best things from your career as we talk about the future and the new album. The moment that you treasure the most, the person you met, the stage you stood on, are there a couple of standout moments?
Yeah, I mean, the standing on stage at the Royal Albert Hall 6 years after meeting Frank Sinatra at the Royal Albert Hall and saying that I would one day be playing there was a pretty amazing moment, thinking, wow, I did what I said I was going to do, and I told Frank Sinatra I was going to do it, so that's pretty cool. Everyone knows I was a massive fan.
Just to back on Frank, was there a better storyteller than him vocally, and he knew exactly how to deliver a story through song? He was perfect.
He just had a depth of quality in his voice. See, my thing about vocalists is not necessarily being technically brilliant. I'm not a technically brilliant singer, but whether you like my voice or not, when I sing something, it sounds like TH.
Right.
When Frank Sinatra sang it sounded like Frank Sinatra. George Michael, Boy George, Simon Le Bon. And it's about having distinctive voices. Brandon Flowers from The Killers, who I'm a big fan of. So it's about having a distinctive voice. And with Frank Sinatra, he just conveyed, I don't know, like you say, he told a story, and he was brilliant at it as well.
Just for those who don't know the story, how did you meet him and what did you say to him?
I was actually with my mum at the Royal Albert Hall, and I'd seen him the night before. And we were just at the side of the stage, and Michael Caine was sitting down at the front there. Roger Moore was there, bless him. And I knew when Frank was going to go off, so I just literally sort of hopped across the stage, and there he was, surrounded by his entourage. And I just went, Mr. Sinatra, put my hand through, and someone sort of pushed me against the wall, and he said, "Oh, what's going on?" And then we just had a chat. He shook my hand, and he said, "What do you do?" I said, I'm a kid at school. I said, "But I'm in a band, and I want to be a professional singer." And he said, "Well, son, good luck to you. Nice to see some young people in the audience," which is what I say to people now. And it was just a moment. It was a very special moment. Yeah, it really was. And you kind of look at it and think, wow, what it must have been amazing. Incredible. Back in the day in Las Vegas, incredible.
What a thrill for you to meet him too. Tony Hadley, I'm going to let you go. I could talk to you all day. What a life, what a career, and what a voice.
And listen, I really appreciate your support. I mean, I'm really proud of this album, and listen, and more people are getting to listen to it saying, "Oh, okay, wow, this is sounding pretty good." So,
seeing you perform live a couple of years ago in Nottingham was so astonishing. That live orchestra and that voice on top of it. Talking to the Moon is the brand new album. Some incredible tracks by Tony Hadley. Back on tour again this autumn, doing the festivals this summer. I hope to see you soon, Tony. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Cheers.